Something that's become really popular in gardening in the last few years is the idea of green manures. Now, green manures is using plants which fix nitrogen from the atmosphere into their roots and into the surrounding ground. So effectively these plants are just fertilising the soil. Now, one of the good benefits of growing beans, leguminous plants, is that they do exactly that. Peas as well are the same. Usually with crop rotation, what you'll do is you'll have a year where you've moved all your high nitrogen loving plants away, and you're growing your nitrogen fixing plants to effectively use nature to fertilise the ground. Now, when you look at the typical green manures written in books, some of these are quite vigorous plants, certain grasses, and honestly you don't want to use some of them. So what I've done in the forest garden, while I'm trying to get this thing established, which is behind me, I'm planting main shrubs and fruit trees, but what I'm trying to do is fill up the gaps in the middle before these things establish. And what I've found is a really good way of doing this is broad beans. Literally getting your broad bean seeds, being as rough as you like, literally just sticking your spade in the ground, levering it over, chucking a couple in, and just going throughout your forest garden and doing that, and actually using broad beans as a green manure. Because the whole idea of a green manure is to fix nitrogen, but you don't want a plant you can't do anything with. And I haven't really seen much about using broad beans as a green manure, but I did it. I don't know how effective they are at fixing nitrogen, but I know one thing. I walked through the woodland garden last year, which is heavily mulched, and I had a full crop of broad beans. And when we talk about using broad beans as a green manure, remember, you don't have to just wait for the seed pods. You can eat the tops of the plants. You can actually harvest them in a bush, so for stir fries and salads, and the flowers. So and they're a good bee plant. So you are an absolute winner. I use broad beans as a green manure, and I'm going to be doing that today. And I'd advise you to try it. I remember coming in one day with a few mates. We'd actually been down the local pub, and we were locked out because my wife weren't home. So I said, well, look, I'm going to walk around the garden, and I literally went round on my hands and knees, and I was absolutely stuffed. That's how much food I ate from the forest garden. So it is an absolutely decent addition to especially an establishing area. Throw the broad beans in between, use them as a green manure, and get a food crop at the same time. Can't lose. Alright, so once again, completely against all the rules, I tell you what, there was nothing wrong with the crops of broad beans I had last year. Alright, we're going to have a little patch here, just for demonstration purposes. Two seeds in each, usually does the trick. Oh, it's mulch. Oh, got room for one more. But I'm sure you can appreciate by watching me there just how quick that was. I did about a square metre there. If you've got an hour and you want to make sure you get a few green manures in to try and compete with the weeds, it's a very, very efficient system. Alright, try it yourself. Let me know how you get on. If some of this stuff is a bit crazy what I do, write comments. Perhaps you've done it, perhaps it works for you. What I like to try and do is let things get going by their own, especially in the forest garden. The principles I use here for growing broad beans is completely different over there. I've actually used the dwarf broad beans for this, and it works really well. I actually can't see that much of a reduction in productivity, although there will be some. I'm not mollycoddling these, I'm just throwing them in. But I think for the amount of effort I've put into them, the yield is very good. And I think with forest gardening, that's what you're after. So what I'll probably do is have a little update in the season. I'm actually going to do a few little tours little talk-throughs, things like that. As you can see, it's actually quite bare, but you know, there are a few things in here that was established in last year. But broad beans, green manure, edible crop, forest garden, give it a go. Now don't forget, if you enjoy the videos and you want to see more, feel free to like and subscribe. Thank you very much.